This show may contain language and subject matters that are not suitable for a younger audience. Viewer discretion is advised. Viewer discretion? This is a podcast. Son of a bitch! Hello and welcome to Weird Careers. I'm your host, E.T. All over the globe, yes, it's round, people get up and go to work. But there are some fun and unusual jobs out there, and I'm here to explore them. Everything from comic book letterers to voice actors and everything in between. So please join me on my journey around the world as I dive deep into these jobs. Please follow me on the socials at Weird Careers Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, and the show itself on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and so much more. If you think you have a weird or interesting job, stay tuned to the end of the show and find out how to get a hold of us. On today's episode, we have Felicia Black, who is a professional cosplayer. Felicia, welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. Before we get in our claws into the good stuff, paint us a picture of, or steal someone else's photo that has been painted, of what Felicia is like outside of cosplay.
So I have a full-time job. It's not always about being a cat burglar, unfortunately. And I'm also a mom as well, and I have other hobbies that I participate in. But I have to say that cosplay takes up the majority of my time.
I bet. I mean, looking at your socials here, and we'll get into all that later. But I mean, you've got a lot going on with your cosplay. But cosplay, a lot of people don't know what cosplay is. It's a foreign word to a lot of people. So 100 words or less, tell us it is what you do.
Okay, so cosplay, for those who do not know, is basically putting on a costume or making a costume, however you're going to acquire it, and being a certain character. That's where the name comes from, and that's what it is, basically. Um, so yeah, so I do this, and I also go to conventions dressed up as well as the characters, as well as I also hold meetups and I attend other events a couple of times as a featured cosplayer. And it's been a really fun year, I'd have to say.
So you would say that it's a play on the words costume and play, bringing the two of those together. You mentioned that some people just do costumes, some people create characters. Where do you sit in all that?
Um, to be honest with you, I've made things and I've also purchased things. I have purchased more things than I've made. But I like the comic book characters. I usually try to make sure that if I'm going to do a brand new character, I do the comic version first.
Mm-hmm. Oh, of course. That's the origin. That's where it starts, right? That's where you have to begin. You would think, anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. I like to pay that character proper tribute from me. That's just
Mm-hmm.
my own opinion. Obviously, anyone's allowed to do whatever they want as long as there's a passion to do it.
Amazing. Looking at your socials, like I said earlier, you've been active for just over a year. Um, just shy of 5,000 followers. Just over a year. You've got Patreon. You've got brands that you are associated with. Representation. But let's go back. Let's go way back. Where did your interest in cosplay from, and why did you take that leap?
So it was about 3 years ago, and I saw a guy dressed up like Captain America. He's
Nice.
actually a cosplayer from Toronto too, but I didn't know that back then. And so I reached out to him, and I was just like, everything you're doing is so cool. And he was so kind and answered me back because, you would think that someone's got like so much following and
Hmm.
doing so much that they may not have time, but he took the time out to talk to me, and it was really great advice that he gave me.
Well, very nice. So That how long ago did that happen? Would you say
So that happened about 3 years ago. All of us were kind of in our homes on wanting to
doing
be.
absolutely nothing? Yep.
Yeah, it was
So you
during
started
COVID.
there. Yeah.
Hmm.
So you started there. You caught the bug. You caught the cosplay bug. Um, your most well-known cosplay. Looking at all of your socials and also just knowing you. Black Cat, and that is like your dominant cosplay. That's what you got. That's what got you where you are. Where did that come from? Why Black Cat? Why that persona?
So I was actually a streamer on TikTok. I still am the odd time, but I was streaming quite a bit, like 6 days a week I was streaming. I
Wow.
have some other ones that I use like Bigo and whatever right now, but I was on there all the time. So I
Mm.
built like a community and they were kind of like my little TikTok family, I'm not gonna lie. And
Nice.
I was a painter. So I'm not was a painter. I still am a painter, but I was painting a gargoyle that was purple, and my community nicknamed him Night Lurker. But anyways,
Ah,
so I told my community, I was like, "What do you guys think that I try cosplay?" And they were like, "Yeah, who would you pick?" And so I did like a poll in the room and everything, and I said, "Okay."
nice.
So I was thinking about a stormtrooper, but those are like super expensive, like super, super expensive.
Yeah.
And then I was like, or what about I do Black Widow? So that would
Mhm.
have been a lot better. Um, I even joked around, said maybe even Yoda. But anyways, so this guy that used to sit in my chat all the time, and he was one of my subscribers as well. And he said, "Why don't you do Black Cat?" And I love comics. Like if you see my home, I have all these comics everywhere. I absolutely love it. I was like, yeah, okay. I knew the character. I didn't know her complete story then, like I know now, but yeah, it's just it was a great suggestion, and I really just ran with it.
So Felicia Hardy, tell us about her. Tell us about this character.
So Felicia Hardy, she's a cat burglar. She's one of the many interests with Peter. Okay, unfortunately, but it's true.
Those who don't know, Peter Parker's Spider-Man. For those who don't know.
And she's a cat burglar. I strongly urge anyone who's listening to this to definitely pick up a comic after this. But anyways, so she's a cat burglar. She was trained by her dad. He was a cat burglar. He went to jail. She went through her, you know, doing her heists and doing all of her, well, she didn't start off at heist, but she worked her way up. And she was very good. She's like she knows different like martial arts, I believe. She also did gymnastics at one point. There was one
Oh,
comic
cool.
where she was doing gymnastics. Yeah. So,
Cool.
yeah. And then there was a situation with her. I don't want to completely give away all of her story, but there was a situation
Yeah.
on how she acquired her powers. So, I love all the cat women out there, but people always ask me, they're like, who's better? And I always say Black Cat because she has powers.
So what are Black Cat's powers?
So much like Deadpool, she was pushed into obtaining her powers by the means of torture. Um, and she acquired, well, it depends on where you look in her storyline, but she acquired the luck of bad luck. So it was a power based on bad
Oh.
luck, but it would be bad luck for the person who had to deal with her, and good luck would be sent to her.
Oh, that is an interesting power. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then she also had retractable claws.
Oh, that's cool.
Hmm.
That's pretty cool. So like Wolverine style retractable claws, or
Yeah, yeah.
like she made them.
Nope.
That's
Hers were
cool.
actually, yeah, that was one of her powers. Yeah.
That's
And
cool.
then there's another
That's cool.
point where if you look more, so there's the Spider-Verse, there's the Venom-verse, there's multiple verses, universes. But if you
Mhm.
look at the Gamer-verse version of her, she actually obtains further powers later on in the story from having breaking into a museum, and there was a
Hmm.
spider, like it was like a gem and whatever. It was like an artifact. She breaks in to try to steal it, and it comes alive and it bites her. And then she
Oh
gets
my.
spider like qualities, so she can do the webs, she can walk upside
Oh,
down.
cool.
Yeah.
That would be very handy for a cat burglar.
Yeah.
I could see how that could come in
Yeah.
handy. That's really cool. So, like, do you find like, do you see yourself like personality wise, like any parallels
Yes.
on the double Felicia front
Without
there?
getting too personal, yes, there is points. She went through a lot in her life, and I can't say that her story is exactly like mine. However, there is certain points that really hit me, and I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
yeah, I
Is that kind
understand
of
you,
so
Felicia.
you feel like you identify with the character
Yes,
really well?
yeah.
Amazing. So you were saying that, when it comes to cosplay, you can get something small or you can go big. It all depends on, your budget, what you can and can't do. You've come a long way in that year that you've been doing this, from the quality of your cosplay to the charisma that you've put into the character. How have you developed that over the last year?
Um, well, and really to get to know her, I felt like I needed to make an investment in my new hobby. So I have multiple different suits. I think I have 8 variants of Black Cat.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. So you've got 8 suits. That's so cool. So you've got comic suits. I know currently wearing this is the PS4 suit,
PS5.
PS5. So what would the difference be between like the 4 and the 5?
Um,
Now you just got the cosplayer. I'm curious.
yeah. So the design is completely different, to be honest with you. I think they wanted to go for a more sleek look with this one, even though the other one's very stealthy already. Like I absolutely love the PS4 suit.
Hmm.
I often ask my spider friends which suit they like better. But I think they tried to go with the her to be, so they added in the fur on the arms and on the back of the legs in the game. And I think they did that to try to tie back to the original character.
Yes, yes, yes. I see that.
Yeah. But Felicia has a lot of changes in the game. Like she's not interested in Peter in the game.
Mm-mm. No,
Not going to say
and
who.
we don't want to ruin the storyline for anybody who wants to play that game and hasn't got that far yet. But there's an interesting twist
Yep.
that comes from Felicia Hardy. So like what you're wearing right now. So this is like a one piece suit. This is
Uh,
like some people would
yeah, so
call
this
it.
is a
It's a onesie,
spandex.
right?
It's a spandex outfit. It's a cat suit, literally. Um, but yeah, so it has a zipper up the back. And for me, it depends on like what you want, but I always get the forearm zippers. And yeah,
So you can add different. So when you're going, so walk us
so you
through.
can get different modifications
Um,
depending on it.
yeah,
So if you have a mask that comes with your suit, say you're Peter, you can get something called a face shell or a half shell that goes underneath the mask. And if you get the full shell, which is just like a plastic covering that goes over your face, the eyes are empty, so you can put in lenses over top, just like so you can look like the spider.
like that.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And it's connected with magnets. It's absolutely amazing piece of technology. So it can change the shape of the person's face.
And I've seen it done in like different materials. I've seen foam, I've seen plastic,
Yep.
I've seen PLA. What would you find would be the best material to use for a face shell?
To be honest, whatever you like, whatever is most comfortable for you, whatever works for you.
It's good advice.
Yeah.
I like that. I dig that. You were mentioning earlier about like different gigs and events that you go to. They can obviously they can look different from event to event. Let's take a Comic Con for example. as a professional, what does a con look like for you? And then like from that side of things, what would a photo shoot or a birthday party look like? Like how would these different scenarios look as a cosplayer?
So typically speaking, a convention for me looks like a hangout. I hang out with the spiders. Somebody jokes around with me once in a while, and she's always like, "You have a gaggle of spiders with you." All the time. I didn't know that spiders came in gaggles, but it's funny and it's true. We have a really good time together. Those are like the much larger conventions. At the smaller conventions, like the Awesome Toy Show or the Toronto Game Expo, I've been a guest there. So, like a featured cosplayer and a guest to them.
hmm
So, that looks a little bit different.
Yeah, how do you get into something like that? How does that start? Like, do they reach out to you? Do you reach out to them? And then what does that weekend look like?
So I have some friends that are organizing some of these things and helping out. Um, and she reaches out to me and says, "Would you like to come to this event or that event?" And she is like a paid person by those people that are doing the events. So she does all the advertising
Mhm.
and gets all the featured cosplayers and whatnot.
Very cool. So while you're there, what is it like? Is it the same as like when you're going to like a big con, or
No,
is your role completely
my
different?
role is completely different. So at the Toronto Game Expo, for example, I assisted with the ramen eating contest. So that was quite different. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's
hmm
hilarious.
I rewarded them. I was on stage. I was like Vanna White, like here it is.
Ooh, very nice, very nice. So, and then you've done so, and then what is so? That's what a con looks like. Now organizing and doing like a photo shoot. That's a big
Oh
endeavor.
gosh.
Looking at some of your socials, you get big photo shoots in. Like you don't just do, you go all out.
We do, yeah, we
You're a go
do.
big or go home kind of gal.
We do some small events as well, but I find that I love being around my friends, so I'm like,
hmm
yeah, we're just gonna include the entire universe. Meanwhile, it started off with like, yeah, maybe we'll just do a few of us. We'll go and see. And then I was like, oh, what about this person? What about that person? And then it just grows. But I do really like the small shoots too, so don't get me wrong.
Oh, for sure. They're more intimate. They're more fun. They're a lot easier to control.
Yeah.
But what does a shoot look like? Like from planning to execution.
Ooh. For me, at least, my process is I get an idea, or a friend of mine will get an idea, and like a different universe or like a category of the characters. And then we look to see who might have those costumes. And then from there, we just invite who we need to in order to come up with the theme that we want to do. I've been complimented by a good friend of mine that likes to come to the shoots, even though he lives really, really far. But he says to me that he likes coming to my shoots because they have a theme. So
hmm
I think
That's
that
cool.
for
I like
me, it
that.
gives you like a focus, you know?
hmm
Yeah.
That way, I like that. That way, it's not just like scattered ideas, people trying to figure out what to do on the spot. I like
I've
that.
attended ones like
I like
that
that a
as well,
lot.
and I liked those as well, to be honest with you. So it's really depending on what your vision is or what your plan is for that shoot. So,
Oh, cool. That's very neat. As a cosplayer and being, especially going to like cons and stuff, what would you say the most exciting moment that you've had as a cosplayer would be?
um, I don't know if I can pick just one. I hate to say that, but I've had
Top two, top three.
top two, top three. I guess I'll have to go with my very first convention when when people actually recognized who I was. That was a highlight for sure. That I don't think anything will beat that. When there's kids coming up to you and they're yelling for you and they want to give you high fives and take a picture with you, like that is the greatest experience. Um,
hmm
Other than that, I think also like the first time seeing my picture up for an advertisement for the Awesome Toy Show, because I've been a feature cosplayer there. But I
Mm.
really put myself in like foot in the door, and that's really where I started. And from there, that very first toy show that I went to, there was so many cosplayers there that I'm still friends with today. It's absolutely amazing.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I have to say, oh,
So,
sorry.
sorry. No, go ahead.
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say, and then for my third, I would have to say, gosh, I think it was last year's Fan Expo. So,
Mm.
and we were, my friend and I, a good friend of mine, he's been an amazing person in my cosplay community and then also in my personal life as well. And he had the
Mm.
idea to dress up like hybrid. So for those who don't know, this creature is comes from like the Venom verse, and it's just like a mutated version over and over and over again, Carnage, and it so hybrid is everything, and it's
I do remember this particular photo.
yeah. And so I said, okay, well, I got the Carnage MJ suit. So originally I was going to try to do MJ, but I kept thinking about it, and I'm like, I have to be Felicia. I do. So I stole her
Of
idea.
course,
I
yeah.
changed it up a bit. I had like diamond claws for it, and I matched his suit, and it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that was so cool. That kind of ties into perfectly to the next bit. What is the best thing about being a cosplayer? What's the best part?
I can't decide on which one. For me, I would have to say that the first thing is I get to be around some amazing people, like absolutely amazing, from like the fan base to like the actual cosplayers that are cosplaying with you. Because sometimes they're fans too, and we're kind of just all supportive of each
Mm.
other. And then the other part of it, which I have to speak up about, and it's the fact that, you know, I was hitting stress points in my life and I needed
Mm.
something that was going to ground me, make me feel like I was doing more than just being a mom and going to work and coming home and doing it over and over again. So
Mm.
for me, it's like I believe that, um, we can't always take away the stress in our life. We can't always, make it completely go away or maybe not right at that time. But what we can do is we can take a break from it. So I'm a huge
Mm.
advocate on that. I love cosplay for that reason. I know people that use it for multiple different reasons, but that's something that's really helped me and give myself a better quality of life.
I love that.
Thank you.
I love that. That's beautiful. What's the ugly side? What's the worst part of it?
It gets a bit gossipy. Sometimes people are around each other a little much. And yeah, sometimes I'd rather have coffee than tea.
For anybody who's looking to get into this, because this is a very saturated industry, there's so many cosplayers out there. To those out there who want to get into this, want to be seen, want to be successful, what tips do you have for them?
Be genuinely yourself, for starters. Um, Remember that you're in the spotlight, and what you do and how you react in public is going to be either consequential or someone's going to admire it. It's up to you on how you decide how you're going to play a role within the cosplay community.
Beautiful. That's amazing. Stay true to yourself. Um, that can be put into life in a lot of different ways. I like
Yeah.
that. Let's go. Wait, before we go, we have one question that we like to ask all of our guests, and it's always fun to see what the journey's been like. So let's go back. Let's go way, 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 way back. Let's say Felicia, she was 6, 7, 8 years old. What did she want to be when she grew up?
Wonder Woman. Silly
Oh
question.
my
Who didn't want to be
god.
Wonder Woman?
Get out. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, other than that, I wanted to be a cartoonist. I wanted to be an animator. I wanted to draw. I wanted to, you know, I practiced Disney characters over and over and over again for so long that I can draw some like at the top of my head, just like right now, like that. So
I
that's what
love that.
I loved. Yeah, I loved creating from really young, and look at we're still creating, so it's good.
That's amazing. Oh, that's so great. Look, you've come full circle, and I love that. Thank you so much, Felicia, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll make sure to link all of your socials in the description below. I've had a blast. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate your time and taking interest and taking the time out to talk to me.
Hey, do you think that you've got a cool or interesting job? Maybe you do. Your 9 to 5 could be a lot more interesting than you think it could be. Or maybe your neighbors, or your cousins, or your best friends, or your weed dealers. Okay, maybe not that last one. But if you think you've got a cool or interesting job, shoot us an email at weirdcareerspodcast@gmail.com. Liked what you heard? Make sure to give us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to us. It really helps us to get seen. Thanks for listening, and until next time, I'm ET. Cheers.